Anton Scoro, BJPin.com with Cole Miller. Just got done with your super fight here at the UFC Fan Expo. I've got to ask, man, how is it being able to come out here and perform in a super fight like this in front of all these fans, and it's such a huge event?
Well, grappling is something that I really miss doing, and I don't get to do as much of it. Jiu-jitsu or grappling. Getting ready for MMA fights and things like that. I always got to be training for MMA fight or helping the next guy with his MMA fight. I'm with my team in American Top Team, so being a full-time job with MMA, you'd think, that guy gets probably train jiu-jitsu all the time. I barely ever get to train jiu-jitsu because you got to do so much other things. But it felt good to be, I felt like that was my entity, being there with, within the subculture of, grappling. So I had a good time.
All right, man, and I mean, for people who don't know, you're a huge grappling fan, like you said. It's something that you missed tremendously. We saw Brendan Schaub make a crossover over to Metamoris, and I got a chance to speak with Henner Gracie, and he said that he would definitely be interested in bringing over more UFC guys if it was the right fit. For you, is there any interest in doing something like that?
Absolutely. Metamoris is something that I'm really down to do. I think that the way they have the rules is set up better for jiu-jitsu as a martial art, not just a sport. And, I like to consider myself a martial artist. And the way that I train, you go for the submission. And if you don't get tapped out, then, you don't deserve to win. Like today, going with Jim Miller, it's like we went the full 15 minutes. The 5-minute overtime had the points and stuff. And, yeah, it feels good to win. But I came here to tap him out and didn't do it. But when you got two black belts in there going at it, and you got like a Renzo Gracie black belt like Jim Miller in there, it's going to be hard to submit a guy like that makes so very few mistakes. But Metamoris, back to that, yeah, that's something I want to do. So bring me in. I'm ready. I can go 20 minutes. I can go 60 minutes. Let's go.
Well, I was going to say, for you, getting a chance to go up against a guy like Jim Miller, you guys are both MMA fighters, so would it be that much more sweet to do an event like Metamoris so you could go against somebody who's strictly a BJJ practitioner?
Yeah, all the better for me, because like I said, I barely ever get to train, jiu-jitsu the way I want to do it. So, but if I could get like a small, just a training camp, like 6 weeks or something like that, where I could devote to jiu-jitsu, I think that people will see how good my pure jiu-jitsu really is. And, what a better way to prove your jiu-jitsu than go against somebody that's all they do. You know what I mean?
Well, and Cole, yesterday we got a chance to videotape you and a guy who all he does is wrap hands and take care of cuts, a good friend of both of ours, Stitch Duran. You got an opportunity to wrap Stitch's hands, and I learned something about you. You've been training underneath Stitch for a while.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how that relationship grew and your love for doing that as well.
Yeah, I was on the Ultimate Fighter 5, and he was wrapping my hands, and I was already a Stitch fan, and so I asked questions. I didn't just sit there think about the fight while he's wrapping the hand. We got like a rapport going, and we became friends, and I was always asking him questions, and then I'd go back and try wrapping hands, whether it was my brother or some of the amateur guys that we had, coming up, or some of the pro guys at AZT. If I was wrapping somebody's hands, I'd come back to Stitch later and ask him a question. I ran into this for a problem. I felt like I'm putting the tape too tight around the wrist, or there might be some just little correctional issues going on there, and he's been helping me along the way, and I've had 13 fights in UFC now, so over half of those I've had Stitch being the one to wrap my hands. I've been very fortunate, and I've kind of like made myself a pupil under him, and I look up to him a lot, and I think that protecting fighters is an important thing, and it's kind of an underappreciated thing. I think these guys like House and Stitch, they're recognized, but there's a lot of other people besides just those two out there, so I think that's an important thing, is to keep the fighters safe with broken hands happening all the time, and lacerations. You can see all that scar tissue I got on my face right now. You're up close. Got this HD cam. You all can probably see it too. So, keeping the cuts safe and letting the fighters go on, continue, and keeping the hands safe, it's an important part.
All right, so speaking of fights, you have a very important fight coming up against a guy who also shared the house with you on The Ultimate Fighter. How crazy or how strange is it to know that it's kind of come full circle? Like, you guys were in the house with each other. Now you guys are going to be inside the octagon with each other, this many years down the road.
Right. I mean, what's crazy to me is like there's more guys in the UFC from Ultimate Fighter 5 being so many years after the season was taped than any other season. And you got a guy like Manny Gambarine, a guy I really respect a lot. He's a judo black belt, trained under Gio Jean LaBelle and Gokor Chavichin. That's a grappling legend right there. And Manny's one of the guys that's been fighting professional MMA, and one of the few guys left that's been doing it since the 90s. you know. And so I really got a lot of respect for Manny, and he was real nice to me on the show. He helped me a lot with my footlock defense and things like that. And you know, even though like we might not be like buddy or best friends, he's always been a professional, and we've always been friendly around each other. And so, but that doesn't really create any problems for me. You know, like I said, I respect the guy a lot as a martial artist and a fighter, and I know that in preparing for a guy like Manny, that's going to bring the most out of my game and my skills, and I'm training extremely hard for him. So I'm hoping that'll help me take my level up a notch.
So, Cole, is it easier for you to fight a guy that, you know, you've got mutual respect for, or is it easier for you to get motivated if a guy talks a little trash and there's a little bit of love-hate going on?
Well, it's fine for me if I got respect for a guy like I do for Manny, and you know, if I know the guy and we have like a respectful relationship, that I have no problem fighting. Or if I don't know the guy, I'd rather just not like him at all, to be honest. It's most tough when it's a personal friend, you know, someone that every Christmas you're texting, or like you see him all the time, you guys hang out on the weekends. Fortunately for me, I've never been put in that position. I've only had to fight guys that I either respect, or for that short term, you gotta put on that front like you don't like the guy. You gotta make yourself hate him, so that way you can get up and go train.
All right, Cole, before I let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where to follow you on Twitter, plug anything that you want, but from everybody over here at bjpin.com, thanks a ton for the time.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at Cole Miller ATT. I got a Facebook fan page too, so just check that out. And you know, thanks to everybody for sticking with me and following me through the ups and downs in this roller coaster of this UFC career. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys, Cole Miller, Anton Scoro, bjpin.com.